Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. So thank you devotees for coming this morning. I'm going to offer some prayers to the Lord so that we can understand Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Diaries. He can give us that understanding, and for our example that he has set, how he spread this Krishna consciousness throughout the world and especially to the West. And we want to imbibe that knowledge and also understand what our purpose in life is. We are here, but do we have a purpose? And by reading the Transcendental Diaries, we can see what achievement Prabhupada made, what his concerns were, what his instructions were, and in that way we can gain instructions for ourselves. So I'll just recite the prayers now. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swahapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please say after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm going to read from the Transcendental Diaries. This is on chapter 5 and it has to do with Los Angeles, and it is on June 5th, 1976. Prabhupada returned to the cliff-top gardens of Santa Monica after having decided yesterday that Venice Beach was too dirty. He enjoys the expansive view. The well-kept grass and palm trees prompted him to comment that it was the best place in Los Angeles for walking. Because of my complaints about the size of the Nakamichi recorder, Krishna Kanti has replaced it with a much smaller professional standard UHA cassette recorder. The Nakamichi, that's the tape recorder, was too difficult to carry, especially when trying to record Srila Prabhupada in the car. The new one, however, is very convenient. The cassette can be changed within a second because it drops straight into the machine without any door needing to be opened. Thus, hardly a single precious word His divine grace speaks will be lost. Since Yamuna has been here, Rameshwara discussed her farm program with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada suggested that some brahmacharis could be sent to her for training. This morning, Rameshwara asked if perhaps she could come down to Los Angeles instead because it would be cheaper. There was some suggestion by Tamal Krishna that devotees going there must develop a bit of separatist mentality from ISKCON. But Srila Prabhupada didn't take it seriously. He simply said he had no objection if Rameshwara wanted to make that arrangement. But when Rameshwara told him that Yamuna objected and that her idea is to make their farm a little bigger with more women living with them, Prabhupada told him, I like the idea. Rameshwara said there would be no men involved, and Srila Prabhupada approved. Just like in Vrindavan there is Bhajana Ashrama, there only women. So that's a good idea, Rameshwara asked. With man, it's dangerous for both, Prabhupada told him. I have given that man is good, woman is good. But when they come together, bad. Both of them bad. As we walked at a steady pace in the morning sunshine, the conversation inevitably turned into book distribution and its polarizing effects. Book distribution is the primary concern of all the leaders here, as it is with Srila Prabhupada. Rameshwara reported on their recent mass mailing of the Krishna consciousness movement is authorized. That little booklet, we gave the names of professors who appreciated our movement and their school, their college. So there are some demons in America who got a hold of that book and wrote all the professors' letters, blaspheming our movement and your divine grace and telling them that, Professor, you should withdraw your name. You are giving your support to a horrible movement. So we have many enemies. Dr. Judah got a copy of one such letter and he mailed it to Jai Advaita. So I've seen it. Very, very blasphemous. Poisonous. But it was written by a very educated person. I could tell by the style of writing that the person who wrote the letter was very literate. He did not disclose his name. Prabhupada asked. Yes, his name and address. So we cannot bring to court, Prabhupada said. Perhaps I'll see, Rameshwara said prudently, but this is an example. The opposition wasn't a surprise to Prabhupada. No, I know that. Rameshwara explained that it is mostly parents who are objecting because they have lost their children to this movement. Tamal Krishna Maharaj also confirmed this. Yes, that's a big propaganda now. There's a number of men, their professional business is to kidnap devotees and other people who belong to other groups like ours. And they're paid by the parents to kidnap the children back. And they call it deprogramming. I reminded Prabhupada that he had seen an article on a man called Ted Padrick Patrick, who is at the forefront of the disturbance. Tamal Krishna related a funny incident about how this man had been made to look silly on the recent TV show. I saw it in New York recently, our president Adikeshava. He went up against Ted Patrick on television and he completely defeated him. So Ted Patrick was saying that, these people are all fanatics. So Adikeshava at the end he said, so if we are fanatics, then the Pope is even more fanatical. So why don't you deprogram him? And everybody laughed at that. Ted Patrick. Rameshwara explained that these men are all well versed in our operations. They have managed to recruit some ex-devotees to give them information on our problems, such as in Germany and Japan. And they use this against us. Now Patrick is trying to publish a book blaspheming us. However, Rameshwara is trying to block its publication through the courts. Prabhupada gave a little chuckle. America is feeling the strength of the Hare Krishna movement. Tamal Krishna also laughed. Yes, they're getting pinched. You have really come as an aggressor, Prabhupada. Prabhupada broke into a big grin as Tamal went on. Actually, I think we are the most dangerous revolutionaries in the whole world. To the Rakshasas, Prabhupada confirmed. And everyone is Rakshasa practically, Tamal observed, laughing. If the government even understood your mission in coming here, they would never have granted you this permanent residency visa. The talk of parental resistance brought forth some interesting and entertaining stories. Thanavira Dasa, who is in charge of making and training new devotees in Los Angeles, stepped up to the front and told Srila Prabhupada about a new recruit. There was one boy who just joined a few months ago, and he had been reading your books, and he came to join the temple. He had graduated from college, and he's been to law school. And we found out after some time that his father, his name was Dr. Royal McLean, he was a very, very big preacher in the South. And he had his own television program. Rameshwara couldn't resist coming in on it. Christian. His father was the biggest Christian preacher in the South. He had his own TV show. Very big preacher, very strict Christian. And his son joined our movement. So, the father calls up the son. How could you desert our religion and join this Krishna movement? Dhanavira said the boy told his father. He was feeling real love of God now, for the first time in his life, thus convincing him why he should stay in the movement. Tamal Krishna had a couple of funny stories to tell about his parents who are favorable. Recently in New York, my parents came to visit me. They didn't come to see me. They came to the restaurant, but I happened to be there. Prabhupada laughed. Tamal went on. One of their friends is a lawyer in New York, so they were having dinner with him the other day, and he mentioned that recently he had gone to Las Vegas for a vacation. In Las Vegas, there are many gambling casinos. So when he was about to depart on the plane, one of his friends gave him $5 bill and told him that in order that your gambling to be fortunate, the first good person you see there, you give this $5 bill to him and it will automatically bring you good luck. So the man went to Las Vegas, and when he got out at the airport, one of our devotees approached him, and this gentleman happens to be a lawyer who's fighting against us to keep us out of New York airport. He's representing the airline company. So he didn't know it was one of our devotees because they were in regular clothes. civilian clothes. So the devotee said, "Please, we are doing good work, educating people. You kindly give donation." So that man thought, well, my friend gave me this, so he gave him $5, and naturally the devotee gave him a book. So the man didn't look at it, but when he went into the taxi, the lawyer, and then when he looked, he realized he was supporting the enemy. With everyone still laughing, Tamal Krishna told another even more amazing thing that happened to his parents. They go on vacation to South America, so they were in the Amazon, in the jungle, right in the middle of the jungle. Suddenly, the devotees were there. Vidyananda's men were there preaching, and they said they could not imagine that they were in this most unusual place. No one around, but suddenly the Hare Krishna devotees were. Vidyananda Maharaj confirmed the story. They told me they met Tamal Krishna's mother. As he walked briskly across the cropped grass, occasionally glancing over the beach and sea, Srila Prabhupada told us this was the best place in Los Angeles for walking. Rameshwara brought up another topic. He said he thought it possible to arrange for a tour for tour groups of the Western students and professors to go to visit our center in Vrindavan. But the difficulty was most of them smoke. Prabhupada suggested something a little revolutionary. First of all, you GBC think then and make one room, smoking room, that's all right. Just like that kind of restriction is there in the airplane. Smoking, none. So you keep a room, separately a smoking room. People may not be allowed to smoke in their rooms, he said, but they could be asked to go to the smoking room. Driving back in the car is really nectar. Rameshwara and Tamal Krishna Maharaj take as much advantage as possible of Srila Prabhupada's presence and ask many questions for clarification and verification. Rameshwara put a particularly interesting inquiry to him this morning. Srila Prabhupada, when I first came to your movement, the first thing I was told is that Lord Chaitanya's movement in this age will, like a moon, rise for 10,000 years. I was told that number, 10,000 years. Is that true? Prabhupada hummed softly in accent. This movement will go for 10,000 years without any impediment. So that means increasing because it's the nature of the spiritual energy, Rameshwara asked. It increases. You should take this opportunity, Prabhupada urged us. You work sincerely, it will increase. It will increase. Many fallen souls will be delivered back home, back to Godhead. These demons are trying to challenge us. They cannot stop our movement for 10,000 years. Rameshwara extrapolated. What is their challenge? Prabhupada asked him. They have nothing to challenge. Unless they are violent, that much they can do like demons. You think they will do that eventually? Tamal Krishna asked. No. Now people are civilized. But they want to do it. But on the garb of a civilized person, it looks odd. Especially in America when religious freedom is there. Otherwise, they would have done. When Prabhupada arrives back at the temple, he doesn't enter to the front doors. He goes in through the side entrance, which leads up to his rooms, and then enters the temple room from there. This brings him in on the opposite side of the temple room to his Vyasasan. On his immediate left, as he enters, there is a beautiful life-size diorama made by the devotees here of Mother Yashoda trying to tie naughty Krishna with a rope. Prabhupada sees it every morning, and during class today, he told us a story illustrating how the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna can become the son of Nanda and Yashoda. Krishna is always joyful, just like you see before you. Krishna is joyfully accepting to be bound up by his mother. He is Supreme Lord. Nobody can chastise him, but he is taking pleasure. How my mother chastises me, this is another pleasure. Just like a very rich man, he always eats very nice foodstuffs. So, sometimes he wants, can you give me little puffed rice? Puffed rice is not a very valuable food, but he likes. This is change of variety of enjoyment. So everyone worships God. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord. So therefore God. Sometime wants that, who will chastise me? He selects one of his devotees, first class devotee. You become my father, you become my mother, and you chastise me. This is God's pleasure. Ananda Mayo Pasyat. Then that is God, Ananda. And that is Ananda. Here, Mother Yashoda is going to bind Krishna. It is not his displeasure. He is not unhappy. He is feeling happy. That is Krishna. So in this way, we have to understand Krishna thoroughly. And if you simply understand thoroughly Krishna, you are liberated. One may question that. They may neglect that if Krishna is God, why Mother Yashoda is binding him? But he does not know that is a pleasure. That is a pleasure. There are many instances. I'll cite one instance, that there was a big Prime Minister in England, Gladstone. Perhaps you have heard his name, heard the name, Queen Victoria's Prime Minister. So somebody came to see him, and the servant informed him that the Prime Minister is a little busy, you wait. So he was waiting, 1 hour passed, and still no message. Then he opened the door. He wanted to see what the Prime Minister is doing. He saw that the Prime Minister has become a horse and his grandchildren driving him. That is enjoyment. He is the Prime Minister, but he has become horse and his grandchild has become a horse of his grandchild. So this is the position. Prabhupada had just sat down in the middle of the room for breakfast when Pradyumna came in, obviously quite disturbed. Prabhupada allowed him to come up to his small table, already set out with his silver thali of cut fruits, puffed rice, and fried cashews. Pradyumna began to complain about the study group Radha Ballabha mentioned yesterday. He told Prabhupada, one devotee has reported to have said that the Gita was too bodily conscious and external, and that he became inspired only by reading about Krishna's confidential internal dealings, especially those of the gopis in Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada was so disturbed by this news that the piece of fruit he held in his hand never made it to his mouth. Abandoning breakfast, he went back into his darshan room and called all GBC men and sannyasis, as well as for several members of the study group. He demanded to know who was involved. Hridyananda Maharaj told him that the head of the men's group was Puranjana Dasa, the manager of the Spanish BBT operations. He was immediately sent for, as was Salochana Dasa, a brahmachari I had gotten to know in Mayapur during the festival. As we awaited their arrival, Hridayananda Maharaj tried to assure Srila Prabhupada about Puranjana. He said he was actually a sincere and level-headed person, and he didn't think that he had Sahajya tendencies. He thought he was simply misled. I told Srila Prabhupada that Salochana had approached me yesterday in an excited and conspirational mood to tell me about the surreptitious meetings. He was quoting parts of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita without, it seemed to me, understanding them, and many misinterpretations of the text. He had cited some verses which he interpreted to say that in each relationship with the Lord there is something lacking which is found only in the next rasa. He indicated that they actually considered paternal affection inferior to the Gopi Bhav platform because Lord Chaitanya said that there is no higher way to serve Krishna than in the mood of the gopis. They were therefore Sri Sri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. They were therefore concentrating on the gopis' lives very closely, for they exhibited the highest and most pleasing way to satisfy Krishna. As I related the incident, Srila Prabhupada's anger flared. Just see, he declared disgustedly, Mother Yashoda is less than the gopis? This is their thinking? And they went Sudha Deha. Prabhupada was furious that such things could develop within ISKCON. By this time the men were in his room, and for almost 3/4 of an hour he strongly rebuked the group, angrily refuting its reason. He compared the exclusive focus on the gopis to jumping like monkeys. Puranjana said their intention was to simply scrutinize the activities of the gopis and develop the same aspirations because this was recommended by Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada got even angrier. He was in no mood for being mollified. You want to scrutinizingly study Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, but why just the parts about the gopis? Why don't you scrutinizingly study where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Guru more mukha dekhe karila sahassana, that his guru found him to be a fool and told him he was not fit for anything but chanting Hare Krishna. Why don't you scrutinize that part? First become a fool like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before jumping over like monkey. Puranjana tried to reassure him that they were not attempting to imitate the gopis' love of Krishna. They were simply studying the descriptions so that they could develop such desires. Prabhupada flushed, his top lip quivering. First deserve, then desire. There is no question of desire unless one is actually liberated. Until that point, you simply do whatever service you are given. So long as there is a pinch of material desire, there is no question of desiring on the spiritual platform. He said the imitate Gopi Leelas were discussed by Lord Chaitanya among his 3 most confidential associates, Swarupa Damodar, Ramananda Rai, and Sikhi Mahiti. Siddha Deha is for liberated souls, no one else. Salochana said that they had thought it was all right because it was in Prabhupada's books, and they were only reading his books. Prabhupada told them that just because a drugstore has every type of drug, it does not mean that one can get them without prescription. The doctor prescribes according to the disease. He said that from the beginning stages of devotional service, up to the highest rasas, everything is there in his books, but they are not all to be immediately studied. You study as you deserve. He ordered them not to hold any more meetings and to disband the club. He directly linked his Sahaja tendency to our ISKCON devotees meeting with the Babajis in Vrindavan, and he strongly criticized Jagadananda Dasa, although he is not one of the study group, for even leaving his ears unblocked while the man spoke to him about so-called Siddha Deha. After sending them out duly chastised, Prabhupada explained to us that this Sahajya philosophy means the preaching will be finished. So try to save them, he advised the GBC men. In Vrindavan, many Sahajyas would ask, "Oh Swamiji, why are you bothering to preach? Why not just be content to stay in Vrindavan and do your bhajan?" At 10 a.m., Prabhupada, along with a small group of senior men, visited the place inside the temple buildings where the diorama exhibited is being constructed. It occupies the site of the old temple room and consists of a narrow passage which takes the viewer past the various alcoves wherein the dolls will reside. Although the walk-through exhibit will be small and cramped, Srila Prabhupada appreciated that the devotees have made use of every available inch of space. From there he went over to the diorama workshops directly opposite the temple complex on Venice Boulevard. Bharadwajya Dasa and his crew are working long hours making a variety of displays which depict verses and philosophical concepts from Bhagavad Gita. They have spent $70,000 so far to make the complete exhibit. Ameya Yatma Dasa, he custom built a computer to control the audiovisual effects and partial animation. Srila Prabhupada was taken on a guided tour, stopping at each exhibit in the making. Before they make anything actual size, they construct miniature figures. Prabhupada saw these as well as some full-size ones. He gave advice and complimented the devotees for their expertise. The dioramas are indeed beautiful. They include the changing bodies, showing a body going through various stages from baby to youth, to middle age and finally death, while the soul remains the same. One of a chariot being pulled by 5 wild horses plunging off a cliff's edge to illustrate the body and its out-of-control senses. The Das avatars surrounding a particularly attractive full-size figure of Gopal Krishna sitting on a rock, and a grand display of the universal form as seen by Arjuna, complete with hosts of demigods, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Karanas, swirling planets and universal elements. Standing in the workshop, surrounded by multiple figures of winged Gandharvas, lined in racks above our heads, was almost like being in the heavenly planets. One exhibit in particular is truly wonderful, that of Srila Prabhupada himself, sitting at his writing desk in his Radha Damodar room in Vrindavan. Made by Lokana Dasa, the exhibit will be designed so that the head of the diorama slowly looks up at the rays of the rising sun fill the room. Srila Prabhupada had not been informed that this figure actually moved. As he approached it, the devotees switched the mechanism, causing the head to look up as Prabhupada reached it. His reaction was a delightful mix of humility, appreciation, and wonder. So realistic is the figure that it was like gazing at two Srila Prabhupads simultaneously. Paradaja has also made a Garuda Stamba, a column with Garuda, the bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, on top. Prabhupada said it should sit outside the front of the temple looking towards the deities. He sanctioned the fiberglass mass production method since this brings savings in original costs and wear and tear. Plus the molds can also be used for other exhibits. They are already planning museums in New York, London, and other sites. At the end of his tour, Srila Prabhupada sat for a few minutes in his office while the devotees offered him Guru Puja and Prasadam. So, what's the time, Prabhu? Sorry? 10 past. 8? 9? Oh, okay, we still got time. We stop at 8:30, right? During Srila Prabhupada's massage, a former sannyasi, Rishi Kumaradas, visited. He sat before Prabhupada, his hair an unruly mass, his mind so disturbed that his eyes constantly wandered and his complexion a dark pallor. Prabhupada had previously held high hopes for him. He asked Rajkumara why he had come and what he was doing. Rajkumara said that he had not come for any particular purpose, just to see Srila Prabhupada. He said he was thinking of working as a cook at the new devotees restaurant, Govinda's, in Laguna Beach. Prabhupada eyed him very gravely and said, "My advice to you is that now you are here, you stay with us and do not go away again. You have been away for some time. Never mind. What is done is done. Now again you can rise up. A soldier may go down in the fight, but he can rise up again and still become victorious. I was so surprised that you have become like this. I have never even dreamed you could become like this." Although Prabhupada spoke so frankly to him, it did not even take much effect. Rishi Kumar returned to Laguna Beach in the evening. So he didn't just ignore Srila Prabhupada. Tamal Krishna Maharaj reported that Prahogosa Dasa, one of the top book distributors in the USA, is learning to distribute sets of books door to door from an encyclopedia sales team. He also said that this news has come about Madhuvisa. He arrived in Hawaii one day after Prabhupada departed for Los Angeles and is living with Subala Dasa, another former sannyasi. So it seems he wanted to avoid meeting His Divine Grace. This is the shameful position that the illusory energy of the Lord places us in, that we cannot even face His pure devotee, our spiritual master. Prabhupada was sad to hear this, but reconciled to the fact that this is Madhuvisa's own choice. In the late evening, Prabhupada relaxed on his bed in the semi-darkness, with me standing by his side, massaging his legs. Prabhupada's mind turned to the morning's confrontation with the Gopi Baba study group. He talked a little of the perversions of the bogus Babajis in Vrindavan, who in the name of Siddha Deha dress up as the gopis and Krishna in order to enjoy illicit sex life. He chuckled and asked, "So, they are wearing saris?" He was asking about our men. Although he said it in a light manner, it made me realize just how dangerous this attitude is if left unchecked. So we'll end there. That's the end of that. What was the title I told you? Chapter 5, Los Angeles. So this is what happened on the 5th of June in 1976. So we want to try and get something out of this. Anybody would like to comment or ask anything? We have Gopal Raj Prabhu here. He'll be willing to answer your question. Any comment? So, when I started off, I said that we're trying to carry out Srila Prabhupada's instructions. His instructions, as Krishna gave them, are in the Bhagavad Gita, and he translated for us. So we can see that these devotees sometimes misinterpret, and that displeases Prabhupada, because they were trying to get something out of it for themselves. But we are not meant to be like that. We are supposed to be working selflessly. You know that verse in Nectar of Devotion, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jana Karmadi Anavritam Anukalena Krishnanu Silanam Bhakti Uttama. That one says that when we perform devotional service, we have to perform it the way the Lord wants, not the way we want, and we must do it without the expectation of a return. So we can see that out of this diary, the activities that we read about, that we have to follow instructions. Devotional service is there. We can achieve that liberation or the spiritual world that we want. We want eternal joy and bliss in the spiritual world, but the formula has to be adhered to. Prabhupada gives the example also about the chemist. He says all kinds of medicines are there in the chemist. It doesn't mean that you must just go buy everything and take everything. That might probably kill you. But if you take it according to the doctor's prescription, which medicine he describes for which disease, then you'll be cured. So in the same way, we're getting the instructions that we have to carry it out according to the instructions. Prabhupada gives the other example in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that if you have a bottle of medicine, or honey, I think it is about medicine also, he says if you take the whole bottle one time, that doesn't mean you'll get sick. Doesn't mean you'll get better. You'll probably get more sick. But if you take it according to the instructions that are given there, 1 tablespoon 3 times a day, like that, then it will help you. Then the other thing he was talking about was that honey jar, that if you just lick the lid, you don't open the jar, and you lick on the outside of the bottle, you won't get the taste of the honey. So you have to do something. If you want to achieve your goal, we have to do something. And 2 examples are given there in that passage that we read. One is book distribution, which all of you are doing, and I see on the chat all the time that so many people are going on Harinam and distributing books and all of that. That is there. That is the one instruction. The other one is Harinam. While we going on book distribution, you take your kartals and your mridanga with you, and everybody hears the holy name. So that is what Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted, that this holy name must go to every town and village, and all of you are doing that so nicely. The fact that you are sitting here today, this morning, means that you are interested in getting to the spiritual world where there's eternal joy and bliss. Congratulations. Any comment? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.